Well, having fired his factory Ducati to pole position, Pecco Bagnaio's topsy-turvy and unpredictable flyaway tour continued here yesterday in Malaysia as he streaked away from the front of the pack, hotly pursued by Alex Marquez and Pedro Acosta on the factory KTM. Fermin Aldeguer, who started the sprint in 6th place, his charge towards the podium held by Joan Mir's exit when the Honda star was 4th. Bagnaia, though, coming over the line to win the sprint by over 2 seconds. Another 2nd place, secures 2nd overall in the championship for the brilliant Alex Marquez. Fermin Aldeguer was 3rd over the line, but a tyre pressure penalty came his way post-sprint, which promoted Pedro Acosta inside the top 3. So having started our overseas tour in Japan a few weeks ago, on the same weekend that his teammate Marc Marquez was crowned MotoGP World Champion, Pecco Bagnaia in Motegi was untouchable, wasn't he? Absolutely on a different level, as he took pole position, as he took a sprint win, and as he then took a Grand Prix victory. Well, he's on course for another treble here today in Malaysia. Probably we should coat over what happened to Bagnaia in between those brilliant weekends in Mandalika and Australia, where frankly, by his own admission, it was embarrassing, it was abysmal by the exceptional high standards of the factory Ducati star. Bagnaia then will once again fire away from pole position. 28-year-old Italian, 27th pole position World Championship. 20 laps will be coming your way in just over half an hour's time here in the hot conditions of the weekend. Malaysia, scorching hot Malaysia, no question about that. The ambient temperature's not going to be far shy of 35 degrees by the time it's lights out for this round 20, over 20 laps. In the company of Matt Burton, Lewis to the beat, Comstock, Jack Appleyard down in pit lane. Malaysia fans once again out to roar on there, MotoGP hero. And the hero of 2020 once again. Pecco Bagnaia, already a double Sepang winner in the top class, including, of course, his victory in what was arguably the best race of 2024. Only the first few laps of that epic battle he had with title rival Jorge Martin, a race winner here also back in 2022. Was Bagnaia. Fierce competition, though, will be posed by a couple of other strong Ducatis. Alex Marquez with the shackles off, having secured 2nd place in the championship, and Alex finds his way to the top of the podium for the 3rd time. What about Fermin Aldeguer, which already won his place on the Mandalika a few weeks ago to become the 2nd youngest rider in Premier Class 3. In the scorching hot conditions, he will go for the soft rear time. When he gamble on the soft rear, he will go for the medium rear. That's got some time to make before the riders leave pit lane. And what are the riders thinking?
Quite remarkably, as things stand, it looks like the vast majority of the grid are going to go for the soft rear tyre, which Piero Taramasso said to us earlier on in those final 2 or 3 laps of the Grand Prix. They expect them to be at 100%, maybe 110% consumption of the tyre. Piero saying none of the team wants to give up that early time at the start of the race where there is a clear decision to do with the medium rear tyre. They would much rather have the soft and just try and manage it to the end. If everybody does go to the soft, it looks like the vast majority goes to the sprint with it. It's going to make a fascinating race.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. It certainly will make it a little bit more tasty. Some spice added then to this Malaysian Grand Prix. The majority pick are going for the soft rear. This will be, without question, a time management race. So many riders, of course, in the sprint yesterday when they were able to push and attack harder over the shorter 10-lap format. In the 10 laps, several riders reported big drops with the soft rear tyre. Makes a juicy run, no question.
It really does. What we saw on Friday was much cooler track conditions because we had a lot of cloud cover. Track temperature was probably around 20 degrees cooler than it is for the Grand Prix this afternoon. The medium tyre just would not work. They just couldn't get it fired up. They actually avoided the grip from it. So everyone went across the soft. What that says then is that even though maybe the conditions today are better for the medium, a lot of riders have barely ran it at any stage in the weekend and don't have the information on it. And as Jack rightly pointed out, potential time loss and condition loss early in the race could be a big medium later on. Just take Marco Beccacci for instance. back in Australia, because it wasn't down to tyres, but he did find himself in traffic after 2 long lap penalties, and he is ultimately making that time back up. The story of Alex Marquez's sprint yesterday. A sprint he admitted he was rather nervous in, with so much on the line, even in second place against so much formality to Alex for a few races now. Eventually won that battle with Pedro Acosta, who fell behind Fermin Aldeguer, of course, regained that first place with a tyre pressure penalty. He never had anything really for Pecco Bagnaia, but that wasn't really Alex Marquez's priority. He was all about securing the points he needed to take second place in the championship, and with Pecco Bagnaia winning the sprint, second was enough.
Sepang Madrid connection. Famous qualifying in this part of Malaysia to allow Marc Marquez to pass on his immediate congratulations to his brother Alex. What a story, what a journey it has been for those two for so many years. A journey that has taken them to top 2 in the MotoGP World Championship. We grew up together, we had fun together, we worked together, we suffered together, and this year we won together. There's nothing that those two have not seen throughout their Grand Prix careers, and what an accolade it is. Alex finished second place in the standings, 4th in the Grand Prix here last year from the front row, so we hope to go at least one better over 20 laps this afternoon. And Fermin Aldeguer, well, there's no question, we know how good he is at managing fading gripping, scorching hot conditions. Look what he did, scored the field, didn't he, in that Indonesian Grand Prix, and there are lots of people inside that condition catching championship. Aldeguer with a great cracking win, number 2 here in Malaysia.
He's only going to have to be careful early on, as Randy wasn't the complete today, which third down to 7th. Certainly he's back right on track at the end of the sprint, which I think this afternoon will certainly bode well for him. On the new livery, might be able to spot for the road from the darker shade of blue. On the left of Fermin Aldeguer, under a darker blue motorcycle, but still very easy to pick the Racing Giro apart. And you feel those 3 riders in the front of the picture, Bagnaia, Alex Marquez and Fermin Aldeguer, in all probability the winner is going to come from one of those 3.
Rookie of the year, after Ravani was rookie of the year. Come on, nice one, Fermin Aldeguer. That bronze medal eventually was going to sprint from around his neck, placed in the hands of Pedro Acosta, but it has been a stellar campaign from Aldeguer. He has delivered on all the promised potential which the captain saw in him at Prix 2024 Moto2. At times, fair to say, this weekend, I wasn't particularly over-enamoured with his playing experience in 2025 with his family at Jadwal. It's not lacking before, so that's photograph that guy absolutely positive strategy. He's going to smile on his face, a smile on his face. What's a raro then? I think we scored the Grand Prix here last year, which is remarkably the only competition for a Japanese bike in the whole of 2024. What is the American focus as well? We'll find out after this 20 lap Grand
Give a
Prix.
thumbs up. Amazing. He got the answers he was looking for. Fabio Quartararo, will he be one of those going for the top 3 attire, which we understand could well be the majority of this field. This lane is now open. They get round 3 laps of action coming up. Just going to MotoGP Warm Up. There was a substantial delay earlier on in Moto3 due to a serious accident on the spiking lap of Jose and Jose Antonio away there, which means we are getting the MotoGP battle. That will follow MotoGP at 4:30 local time.
Plenty of beds and fans out in 4 series of back, including one of them who's got the absolutely awesomely named Bed White. Got that further to the move that Bez made on what was an excellent recovery actually. 14th on the grid, 7th on the road. This was inside the top 6 after the Aldeguer penalty, and there's a lot of work for that. 7th place, 15th on Zarco, moves on Fijia, moves on Marini, moves on Holly Lane, Monday MotoGP on Ultra Marini. Later on in the sprint, where he suffer his first DNF of 2025, his first crash, believe it or not, of 2025 as well. Paul Fargo, another victim of the second charge through the pack. Med with the ice vest on, trying to keep himself cool at the end of that sprint yesterday. He goes double the distance over 20 laps this afternoon. So then, we believe that Jack Holder's having spoken to complete insiders that the majority of the riders are going to take the front, they're going to go for the gamble, and try and maybe that drop goes a bit over 20 back. This will make the Grand Prix interesting, won't it? Pedro Acosta then, promoted to third in yesterday's sprint points again by far the leading light for KTM. And he received that podium in the Grand Prix. The boss, Aki, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've got Aki with me in the back of the KTM box. Aki, I understand the vast majority of the field are mainly looking at you for the top rear tyre. What are KTM thinking?
At the moment, seems like our plan is to go with the same tyres as yesterday. But of course, many times the final you can come on the bridge. But I really feel that majority of the bridge is with the soft one today. Maybe front is a bit more mixed.
We saw yesterday, even in the sprint, there was an obvious drop for Pedro. He had his tyre trouble over recent weeks. For those on the KTM, how much of a risk is it to go for the top? Getting to the end of the race?
Yeah, I think everyone, all the manufacturers have set, let's say, each moto this weekend, and still after testing, seems like victory is top. So sometimes the difference is small and sometimes bigger. So for sure, it's really race to manage.
As a result, is it a bit of a race of survival for Pedro?
For sure, I believe for everyone, of course, here in these conditions, it's a little bit let's say, compound what is available. It's a race for survival, but of course, long race is always a little bit different story as a sprint, and of course, you need to prepare and manage in different ways.
Thanks, Aki. Good luck.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks to Aki. A tyre management season on the way then in Malaysia, coming up for 23 riders. First time this weekend. No Mark Marquez has played with the team by the Zero. No Roy Martin family ongoing with that shoulder injury from his mistake. Played one race on Cameroon. Colin goes back once again to play with Martin and Jarvis. And Augusto Fernando, the Yamaha wildcard, getting in more new development on the new V4 powered YZR M1.
Tyre manager race, like KTM, managed tyres, they manage with great difficulty. Play into their hands that others will also be on that soft tyre, whether there is further trouble. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Pedro Acosta going to 5th on the great qualifier for 12th. Yeah, back to 19th, one place behind Grand Prix there. Paco Bagnaia, full given up trying to predict or work out what Paco Bagnaia can do for one weekend. But the last time he took pole position and won the sprint, he did then back that up with Grand Prix victory to third consecutive. Sepang pole for Pecco, and he backed that up with a third Sepang MotoGP win.
He's had 5 pole sprint winning Grand Prix with trebles previously in Korea. Well set, certainly to at least fight for that 6. Let's go down on to the grid there. Congratulations once again to our 2025 rookie of the year, Alvin on the second row, Jack.
Yes, I mean, it was fantastic yesterday. Of course, on the sprint podium, but unfortunately that penalty cost him. To me, this looks like it's going to be a real race of survival with everybody on the top rear tyre. How do you feel ahead of it?
Yes, for sure. The key of the race will be the management of the rear tyre. I think the last part of the race will be very difficult and much lower than the first lap, but one of our stronger points. We try to manage the best way as possible, and after things the best result as possible, because we did an incredible weekend and we have to be very happy. Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. You worked further down there. Congratulations once again for an incredible year, which was crowned Rookie of the Year yesterday. We just saw the grid graphic there with the tyre choices. The only anomaly on the front row of the grid was Alex Marquez, the European caddy, including with on the soft front, soft rear tyre. Pecco Bagnaia from Poland, Frankie Morday third, either side of the Spaniard. As it stands right now, that could change for 2 Italians, medium front, soft rear.
Yeah, the majority are soft. We've got Alex Prix, who's also medium front, Maurice, and Ralph Fernandez on the medium front, so Miguel Oliveira and Lorenzo Salvador further back. So the vast majority of the field are going for essentially the same 5 combinations that they ran in the Prix yesterday.
They got a war coming out of place on the sighting lap there. changed over to what we expect to be then a brand new medium front tyre for Morbidelli. The second front row of the year for the 30-year-old Italian, who has very happy memories of Sepang, going over to world champion crown here. So too, of course, was Alex Marquez in 2019, and so too was this rider on screen for a race one of the two MotoGP Sepang, and he did it in spectacular fashion with a double backflip with his brother a few years ago, back in 2016. What it is, of course, we can't really go through the race day program here in Sepang without mentioning that race, that Grand Prix 2016 Sepang, a clash, one of the biggest clashes of personalities, talents and egos we've ever seen. Valentino Rossi versus Marc Marquez, all the way back in 2015, what proved to be a very controversial and pivotal Malaysian Grand Prix a decade ago.
Zarco, he was the new lead all the rookies could get when that Grand Prix and one of the fourth old tyres, old tyres in back forte really. Much changed just underneath us in the grandstand. Back in 19 on the green, back to Australia, he qualified 20th and was inside the top 10 at the end of Moto3 Practice and the Grand Prix. Across the line yesterday in the final point position in 9th place. So one thing you can rest assured in is that if he's still in the race, fast is going to be going forward.
Feels like this is a tailor-made Grand Prix for Malaysian. Not only the MotoGP tyre whisperer or nothing usually, whether it was on the cap back today or the current KTM, also the master of still being able to get a lot of performance speed out of a massive rear tyre. So, of course, Roman Albion falls back into that category. Right, Marquez was the only outlier on that front row group in terms of the front tyre choices going stop. They wanted that minor change. Chapman now.
Yeah, that's the least of his concerns right now. You might have heard in the back of the shot, very, very rarely the MotoGP might get started on the grid. Normally, in early doors, there's some kind of problem, and it seems to be there's a slight electronic issue potentially with Alex Marquez's crew. There's a couple of official Ducati personnel coming over and taking a look at the laptop. So there doesn't seem to be too much mountain work. They are putting the practice time to this one as things stand, but I'll stay with this and just try and work out exactly what's happening, because there's something out of the ordinary going on right now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jack. I mean, these are intense, high-stress situations anyway, aren't they? When everything's running smoothly down on the grid. Last thing that Alex Marquez needs is about to power away from second here on the front row in Sepang.
Pressure is removed from Alex Marquez. He's also the principal on point championship today, but if you wanted to, the benefit of that pressure being removed, just go for it today. It's going towards victory. Alex Marquez has already taken a couple of goals for the both on Spanish tarmac around and in Barcelona, and he was ready the opportunity to go head-to-head with Pecco Bagnaia from the front of the field today. Raul Fernandez, our most recent Grand Prix winner, Phillip Island winner, 7 days ago. Absolutely extraordinary for Raul Fernandez to go back-to-back this weekend. The Aprilia not just gelling with this Sepang circuit nor the rear tyre options we have here.
Fernandez, 76 starting for the final. It's the 7th longest away in history for a first MotoGP success. The latest rider over 200 starts. Daniel Evans, 224 starts. Johan Zarco on the current list, 120 starts. Cal Costa, 98 starts. Alex Marquez on the front row, 94 starts. Jack Midley, 92 starts. The only riders that took longer in Grand Prix history to find their third MotoGP success. That second medium front tyre.
Change to the initially made his choice on the choice of communicating. Quite absolutely made it great, which is why you can hear a massive roar with some smoke developing outside our cover tube box window. With the aerial show providing the aerial entertainment before the second motorcycle race in the world. The fireworks on the post lap in just under a quarter of an hour.
Well, we're sat about a mile and a half, 6 miles maximum on the nearby Kuala Lumpur International Airport. A lot of the paddock flying home this evening, including Mike himself, but I hope it's a rather bigger flight than that one that's currently hovering overhead here in Malaysia. Marco Beste has to factor in, doesn't he? He has to factor in Beste, 14th on the grid. So many riders again today. What was the intense and heated battle for the bottom end of the points were placed. The sprint were reporting big issues with a balloon front tyre temperature and a balloon front tyre pressure output. To get my impact is going to be in a whole lot of pace managing that front tyre. Alex Spargo, good to see him back. He's supporting, of course, the other pole is another Sterling. He's not replacing Mavis and Yanu. Lacey's not here at the tour. He's not here at the holiday maker. Well, he's back today and not just supporting his brother, but he has got some busy work next week. Once again, throws his leg over the 2026 prototype Honda RT213B. Spent a lot of it 2025 already so far here in Sepang. Has a lady. Riders have when they're transition off air and off their front tyre. That's part of the reason why Sepang Malaysia and all MR team were so busy battling each other last year, because they wanted that clear track. Let's get an update from the grid. Is all okay with Alex Marquez? You can indicate it needs.
Yeah, just seeing everything's okay. Okay, confirm everything okay with Alex's bike?
Yeah, at the moment they confirmed that Alex Marquez is okay.
That's great to hear. For both riders, this is obviously going to be all about tyre management, trying to get that rear tyre to the end. Looks as though Alex will stop front. Is that the case still?
Yeah, I hope that we take the right choice for the race, and we can manage well the last 8-9 laps.
Okay, thanks for getting good luck.
Yeah, thanks, Jack. Thanks for the case. As far as Alex Marquez is concerned, whatever sort of tech reveling concerns they had pre-race, they seem to have evaporated in the extremely hot conditions. Next, Alex, after a really good crash at Friday morning in turn 7. We have taken a next Sepang Malaysia, so take another crash at the
Riders unite on their way to the front of the grid with an Atalanta, which is coming up in a couple of minutes' time. Thomas Barco and the Zero saw there against Zero into Mark Marquez, of course. Now there is a good fight between now and Portimao in Jerez, involving the World Superbike Championship runner-up Nicola Rubiga, which could potentially lead to Rubiga appearing in the final couple of Grand Prix of the season. So it may get the last time Zero in a Grand Prix this season.
Just having a chat with our British TV colleagues down in what is going to be scorching hot pit lane. Fabio San Antonio, Solver as cool as possible before what are going to be 20 of the toughest laps of 2025 coming your way. Marquez, that's a fantastic is to have an umbrella as self-shaded as possibly can. Fabio Aldegar, well, he's had his trials and tribulations so far this weekend. The crashes at Q1 at turn 4. A lap time when he was fast in Q1, which was on the front row of the grid in Q2. And then, of course, after that crash in turn 4 in Q1, he then crashed with the cat to the back of the garage in what was a pretty eventful 10 minutes or so to complete that opening qualifying session. The riders then jumped to the front of the grid for the official pre-race ceremony. That's by the front pilot. Throughout this weekend on the grid, young and old, enjoying all the pre-race atmosphere. Two of those teams very, very busy by the time that start from the MotoGP rivals in a spin for pole position will be Sepang Malaysia shortly. And see that magnificent power of champions on the right-hand side of your picture. Mark Marquez, of course, adding his name to that magnificent trophy. A few weeks ago, at the Malaysian resort over in Matagi. Marquez found the sideline and ruled out that shoulder injury to badly going until 2026. So riders in shade on the grid. We're going to take a pause here in the coffee box as we await the Malaysian national anthem. Ahmed, Diane, Saiful, Anwar. And then countdown. And MotoGP Chapter 2025, well, it's underway. Certainly bring the passion, don't they, these Malaysian fans? This is a classic, iconic Grand Prix venue, isn't it? Past Prix all the way back in 1999 now. First chain race at the Sepang International Circuit. 15 times at this great venue, the World Champions crown, including back right on your screens back in 2018 when Paco Bagnaia prevailed in the Moto2 World title chase. And Fabio Quartararo again from the factory Yamaha in contention for the top 5 maybe in this factor of what my regarding the stats.
Maya, with everybody having to manage the side in the opening half of this race, does that make it an opportunity for you guys?
For us, it's going to be a really tough race for everybody because, as you can imagine, already these conditions are not helpful for them, and they have to manage the situation with their soft tire that will make their life even harder. And it's not also a question to manage the tire at the beginning of the race because there is a risk that you have to try to manage the tire from the beginning to the end. And we expect that at the end, however, the tire will be finished. Good luck, I think it's a point. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Yamaha boss Maya Marigali. Yeah, got to get to this finish and what's probably going to be a finish session with you tyres. Fabio Quartararo as late as possible to jump on his White Star M1 machine. The strongest changes that have been offered by the main grandstand, well, two main grandstands here in Sepang that flank along the straight. Alex Marquez and White Star on the side. The MotoGP Grand Prix for the first time outside of home turf. There was a sprint here before in Malaysia, Tissot back in 2023. Anybody stop Paco Bagnaia from completing or starting and finishing this open Tissot with a treble. It's really hard to imagine, isn't it? I mean, we said yesterday, probably the curious case of Paco Bagnaia. It was 8 days ago for the final of Australia where he crossed the line of sprint 30 seconds at the time marker, but that followed a sprint manually where he was 39 seconds behind Bez and then crashed out of lap in the Grand Prix. I mean, talk about a roller coaster 5 weeks and 4 rounds for the Italian.
Yeah, when he's good, he's almost unbeatable, but when he's not, he is beaten by just about everybody on the track. It appears he's got the best of Paco Bagnaia here. Okay, but well aware that we are that this is not going to be an easy 20 laps of action there. Certainly, the start, the first couple of laps are going to be all important to maintain the pressure that they can't go. That happened with Bagnaia last year was so aggressive, partly because they were fighting for a world championship, but also because they wanted that track position. They didn't want the rider ahead of them, putting hot air on their front tyre and making their pressure go through that route.
It's going to be a big consideration. It will be a big factor of play in this Grand Prix. Braving in the blazing sunshine at the moment. That's the rear side of Paco Bagnaia would have needed to have come to victory here in Sepang. A winner already for the MotoGP 31 times. And Eddie Lawson is now only 7 riders in MotoGP history that have won 4 Grand Prix at San Paco. And they are some of the greatest good, aren't they? The MotoGP, Jack Ryan, Valentino, Mark Marquez, Roy Lorenzo, Casey Stoner, and Mike Haywood. Just ahead of Danny Stroser and Eddie Lawson in the all-time winners list. Mike Marquez and Sermon Albuquerque will have a big part to play in the season coming up in a couple of minutes' time with the grid then. But clear on the front row for the second time in 2025. Frankie Morbidelli, the MotoGP World Champion crown right here back in 2017. Points in all 5 in his MotoGP career. having secured second in the World Championship yesterday in the sprint. Alex Marquez goes from second on the grid, but it's Pecco Bagnaia looking to complete yet another dominant double. Captain the finish from pole here in the pack. Malaysia becoming the second youngest rider in MotoGP history to win a Grand Prix. Well, Fernandez becoming another first-time winner in 2025. That's 7 different winners so far this season. 5 different winners in the last 5 Grand Prix. The message loud and clear from Michelin Motorsport boss Johan Talamasso. Top rear tyre choice, well, you have to manage it big time over the course of this 20-lap Grand Prix of Malaysia, which is Pecco Bagnaia. All the way from pole position. Yesterday in the sprint, nobody saw which way this victory went, having secured a 30th gold medal. That's San Antonio, some of the victory when yesterday missing out on a point scoring place in 10th spot. Once again, Bagnaia passes the rear, going to the third corner, coming to the grid as late as possible. While with the weight of the pressure securing second place, lifted off the shoulders of Alex Marquez, and now fully unleashed. Will Alex decide to go pro in this 20-lap battle before we head back to Europe for the defending double-header in Portimao and in Valencia? Fabio Quartararo has spoken successfully throughout this weekend of how much he suffered with a lack of rear grip in particular on that factory Yamaha around this Sepang circuit. Not to be helped at all in his turn by taking off conditions without any question. The clearest time we've had so far this weekend, which means it is really, really hot. 35 degrees, the average temperature will be at the moment. The warm up is underway. Warm conditions. On the front row of the grid, first meter Enduro VR46. Grand Prix. Going to this quickly, maybe 100 minutes starting in 7th place. So he has been here before. 2022 Sepang winner Pecco Bagnaia, 2024 Sepang winner Pecco Bagnaia. After flying away tour. Now again already. Not the job done with his mission pre-season was to try and win the Rookie of the Year title. Well, back in the pocket, that's business done as far as Alligator is concerned. You know how strong Alligator comes late on in these Grand Prix. What can he do then from that second row through the second row, which features Quartararo, Acosta and the Spaniard, the youngest rider in Premier Class history, win on this Asia Oceania Tour. Full throttle though, isn't it now? Lights out, we're racing MotoGP here then in Malaysia. Once again, he's nailed the start of pole position as the 63 rider Bagnaia. Look at Pedro Acosta once again, capitalising on that missile KTM. He gets the drop and Alex Marquez to run down into the third corner. Bagnaia leads and Acosta from the second row immediately to second place. Aldeguer is trying to come out here with Quartararo going down the hill in 32. Aldeguer, Quartararo's had a really good start. He's from the second row in the fourth as well.
Quartararo wasn't letting him have it. He holds on to 4th place. Morbidelli is the big loser. And Alex Marquez, if he wants to go after Pecco Bagnaia, needs to pass Acosta quickly.
And he has done. He picks up Acosta. Acosta absolutely playing work on the outside. turn 4. So Alex getting very aggressive early on here, through on Acosta in that fourth corner.
But the Hondas have already popped around. Marine up to 7 here, then put way wide. Through turn 3 very up behind the Jadwal check, but has now repassed Marine. They're 7th and 8th.
4-star for Benteke. A lot of work to do, coming from 40 on the grid. More work to do for the winner of the last 2 sprints over in Australia and Indonesia. Down in 16th.
Under a concentration angle, starting. Brad Binder all the way up into 12th place. Mir attacking once again. He crashed here yesterday into turn 9 this time. Here he runs into Frankie Morbidelli.
Me and Morbidelli, 2 riders that you don't want on your biggest tyre in a Grand Prix. Back to the just picks up Ralph Fernandez further down the field, and Mir cuts a real tight inside line, especially on the inside of Moto2 11. I think Moto2 is dropped back ahead of the Spanish judges. They drop down now over in turn 12, so back up to 17. Of course, Sabtu is brilliant. Fernandez back in 18. But then he's trying to work his way forward now up to 14.
Alex Marquez is up right up the rear tyre of Paco Bagnaia. Whether this Bagnaia being a bit cautious with his rear tyre early on, or whether Bagnaia is matching a little bit of front end confidence, Alex Marquez has caught it very quickly, out sideways, out of control on the way into turn 15, but he's just about getting that Ducati stop.
Yeah, Alex was begging, wasn't he? Please stop with me, Ducati on that run down into turn 14. Over the line we go as Marie's up inside the top 10. Bagnaia from Alex Marquez. Of course, we're going to pick up the victory here around back. Alex on the way to the third corner, not close enough.
Well, mighty happy with Bagnaia, is he now the only rider tied in Prix and Andy Neal's up-to-date time from 18. Bagnaia is the only rider in the top 8 is on that medium front side. Everyone else behind him is on the top front.
Down the order, we've got Brad Binder in 11th, doing a good start, 7th place. On that one, in fact, nobody made a big again. That's Binder on the back of KTM from 18th up into 11th. Alex Marquez goes on the inside. Bagnaia, well, he was aggressive, was he on the first lap at turn 4 on the cross. He's played the same and moved through on Alex. Not got a good time line there. Good fire goes Bagnaia with Alex Marquez to the lead. Bagnaia wanted to try the whole Marquez back to turn 5. Good to get it done. So Hans Bagnaia is probably a little bit patient while his front tyre comes into the right operating surface here, because Acosta's now attacking him for 2nd place. Yeah, well, look at the moment, he's got the early pace for the Paco Bagnaia on that front tyre. Acosta's going to dart the inside line, he's got to go through on the double world champion into 9, no way through. Bagnaia will have something for the braking stability. How many times have we seen Mir out of shape on that Fabric Honda going into turn 9 where he perished in the sprint yesterday? Morbidelli's trying to cut the inside line going through turn 11, no way through. Further back, we've got Zarco in 8th place, Marine 9th, top 10 round now by Giant Rodeo. And we've got Morbidelli already over like Morbidelli Quattararo yesterday. So once again, Acosta buzzing all over the rear tyre of Bagnaia and Ducati. As the front end momentarily tucks there for Paco Bagnaia. He's not got the support he wants for the moment from that medium front. Oh yeah, that was the perfect time to ride on board with Acosta there. Big moment, wasn't it? For Bagnaia on that medium front tyre. We're going to stay on board now. As Acosta almost runs into the back of further down the field. That's Almaguer versus Mir. That's some fight between the two Spaniards at the moment. Into the hands of Mir, which is powerless now, isn't he? They go side by side. Almaguer versus Mir. Winning game there on the brakes. Almaguer on the inside line. This is a battle for fifth. Mir goes around the outside. They almost take each other out on that run down into the first corner. Thank you very much. Goes forward doing that on the P6.
It is a crucial time that Almaguer we think he's got the pace to simply win this race. And point later on, Alex Marquez starts off into the distance once again. Bagnaia is fighting a rear guard action against the KTM of Acosta.
Got help with the braking turn, hasn't he? At the moment, that front car is not working out for Bagnaia at all. Alex Marquez passed him going into 4. And 21. Bagnaia on the inside of Acosta going through the fire. You can almost hear the crowd picking themselves off in the main grandstand here. Not battling between Bagnaia and Acosta, but he's trying his hand. This is perfect for Alex in the front of his Grand Prix.
Bagnaia knows how hard Acosta is to overtake him. He doesn't want to have to overtake him at any stage. So he's defending for all he's worth at the moment. It's Bagnaia. But Alex Marquez is always going to take him a second up the road.
Coming on board for Acosta. Acosta does take the inside line going into turn 9. That's a lovely move. He can do a little bit hard. Bagnaia was trying to sweep around the outside. And does they go through turn. The on board for Acosta. We could clearly see he wasn't working the sprint yesterday. The rear eye device of Bagnaia's GP25 is fully functioning in this Grand Prix.
Really fast without it yesterday. Maybe we should have it again. And the moment was right on board with the Acosta as well. Now this is right hand to 30 and 40. And we know how strong that KTM is in a straight line. He'll follow Bagnaia now and try and attack him once again into the final corner.
Pedro, a pet here for Pedro, isn't it? Bagnaia just cannot break away from the 37 KTM behind him. Alex Marquez at the moment is almost second clear of Bagnaia. He started this lap at less than 4 seconds. Alex is going half a second alone on this lap ahead of Bagnaia. He's having to work so hard. He's doing the thing really neatly with the fend off across very low he goes. Alex Marquez wants to be half a second quicker than Bagnaia on lap 3.
As was Juan Mir on the Honda. He's now zooming up behind Quartararo's Yamaha, and if he can pass him, he might sort this back up for second place here. Bagnaia's got to try and stick with this. Hope that medium front tyre comes into its working temperature to fight this Sepang circuit, and he'll come into play later on in the race. But of course, it's all right passing. He's not going to be able to make that time back up in the last stage.
Work the rear side at the moment to suspend off across the rear tyre at Bagnaia. This time around, he's not able to find a way through the installing. He's made that move once before in the Grand Prix at turn 4. The gap between Quartararo and the Costa is up towards now starting towards Quartararo back to Yamaha. It is Mir who has been facing to Morbidelli. Mir about a second up the road from the Italian.
Well, we've got some Aldeguer prospects before he's got really on the way. It's kind of already gone. He's already 3.5 seconds behind him.
The KTM turns better with that soft rear tyre. He'll have a better edge grip, but he won't have the braking stability that Bagnaia's got with that medium front. That's that sort of between the two on board as we're back on board now with a Costa going through turn 11. That gap between Alex and Bagnaia sort of stabilised around 8-9 tenths of a second. As long as Bagnaia, you feel, can keep a Costa at bay, he's going to be A-OK here, because we know the KTM really does suffer. Out of all the bikes on the grid, the KTM, probably with the Yamaha close call, some of these biggest rear tyre drops and the whole field.
He's now slowly starting to come to Bagnaia. He's not clearing off away from the Costa, but he's a smidge faster at the moment on this lap than Alex Marquez, who I guess today not spent too faster pace out front, because he was coming for some late pace in the last stage. He's only lap 4 and 21 for race distance. Completely still an awful long way for these tyres to go. Alex Marquez leads on a 1:59 race. Bagnaia with the first one back, he was 5,000 faster.
We know how late in the race Quartararo is. He needs it down into that first corner. What a shot this is. It's Mir going to try and cut through the inside line and tap the brake route downhill into turn 2. That was his plan, but Quartararo just too fast, simple on the agile M1 through the first sector. On board now with Mir. Tyres ready to turn and squeeze it. Where you really are going to have to manage it in the latter stages of the Grand Prix.
Personal best for the pair behind it too. Morbidelli and Aldeguer 6 and 7. 59.6 for Morbidelli. Only a 59.9 though for Aldeguer, but he's over half a second off Prix. Pace as the yellow flags come out. Any second sector from Paul Espargaro. He's dropping down the order.
Three Hondas in the top 10 is a frustration. Paul Espargaro head in hands for the Spanish rider who had contact with Ricky Marini yesterday. Zarco is 8th, Marini is 9th. The three Hondas then inside the top 10. There's another great battle raging between Zarco, Marini, the Gian Antonio, Binder, Paul Espargaro, and now Aston, of course. Let's take you with all of those riders in a intense battle. They're going to have to be worrying and managing that front tyre pressure and temperature, aren't they?
So that was the front end washout, which went a long way to level that, so all braking in Paul Espargaro. So after coming together with Marini yesterday, he scores no points in the Grand Prix either, unfortunately, for Paul, and had another quietly impressive weekend. So watch once again for the aerial shot, and Acosta trying to tee up another run at Pecco Bagnaia from 14 up to 15.
Nothing between Bagnaia and Alex's lap times on this current lap. In fact, it's deviated by about 600 of a second. And then matching corner by corner. They're going blow for blow here, aren't they? Alex is doing a great job here at the front of this Grand Prix. As Acosta once again closes in on the rear tyre of Bagnaia. Quite actually Acosta back close to Bagnaia when sort of concerned about his own good tyre. Right hand side, let me see some ability there. Over we go then. Alex with a 159.3, Bagnaia with a 159.3, Acosta with a 159.3. At the moment, the top three are averaging on screen in a race of their own. Fair play to Quartararo and Mir. They are the only other two riders in this Malaysian Grand Prix that keep themselves in the 159 foot there. 4 tenths, half a second back of the top trio.
We're not seeing a rampage through the field at the moment from Marco Bezzecchi like we saw in this front yesterday. He's back in 12th place, joined in the 59, 0.002 on the last lap. He's 7 seconds off the race lead. He is also on the medium front side. The only riders on the medium front ahead of Bezzecchi are Bagnaia and Marini, who runs 59.
It's bragging rights back in Japan at the end of the Malaysian Grand Prix. Will it be Yamaha or will it be Honda? Well, this is the battle race, 4th place. There's been a corner throughout this Malaysian Grand Prix. They raised up both wheels in line on the last 1-3. Certainly, clocked off in 1-3. All action in 36, but we just know one thing to do, of course, Fabio Quartararo, and another thing completely to try and pass the Yamaha star, who we know is so good, so confident, so much trust in the front end of that M1.
Looks like Bagnaia might be closing down as they just file through the short. We'll see through the first sector whether he is getting any closer to Alex Marquez. He wants to battle behind them. It's still around 8 tenths of a second. He takes the 10th back that he lost in the second sector, back in the third sector. So Alex Marquez at the moment keeping Pecco Bagnaia at arm's length. But all of them will be a little bit cautious about pushing too hard this early in the race.
He's got great corner speed through 40 there. And I was just thinking, Marquez is going to line this up. That was all set up because Prix was third going through 40. Look at that, he's pointing to the midway, flying in the rear. He's almost downtown Kuala Lumpur, like he's done a Tissot in Chinatown at the moment in his Grand Prix. He was so good going through third 14, made that move on Quartararo on the run down to 50, then he's got in that vehicle bit hard, and now he's got to do all the hard work all over again.
Well, that's how hard he had to try and break. Outbreak Fabio Quartararo for all of the strength of the 2021 World Champion has got. That is one of them. 2021 World Champion versus 2020 World Champion for 4th place. 2022 2023 Champion in the middle of the three-way fight for the lead.
Precious little of Aldeguer at the front of this Grand Prix. He's been a bit underwhelming, a bit disappointing so far. He's going to be hoping to come ahead of him, have massive drop-off with their rear tyres. Aldeguer in 6th place. He's 1.1 seconds actually behind Frankie Morbidelli. Marco's still inside the top 10 in 8th ahead of Marini. Again, this is a massive battle between Zarco, Marini, Gian Antonio Spinda. Fairly right in the thick of it, so too Alex Rins. Back in 14th place. Second time Zarco in 8th. So back to Salvin at top 10 from 19th.
All the way to Frankie Morbidelli up ahead of him. The gap was opened up little back there a couple of laps ago. They're now 1.1 seconds apart for 6th and 7th. This is the Honda led from 8th backwards. Zarco and Marini. Gian Antonio Spinda made his way up from 8th to 7th. Bezzecchi making very good progress yet. Here he is in 12th place. And as we all came to expect, Bastianini's on his way forward to his most good position. He's up to 13th.
Acosta once again is bringing the neck out of that KTM. He said in the sprint yesterday, he's got the talent, he doesn't really have the tools to be at the front where he wants to be winning Grand Prix, but once again, on above and beyond Acosta, he is dragging, kicking and screaming every ounce of performance out of himself in the last season right now. But guys, it's time breaking at the moment. Let's check the gap between 73 and 63 as we start this later lap. Alex, fair play, still in the 159, Bagnaia and Acosta then minute lap, 1.1 from the pair of the man on his 10th quicker, with Quartararo still somehow keeping me at phase 4.
Yeah, they're now 2 seconds off the back of this battle for second. Quartararo and Mia both in the low position. Aldeguer still flashing relatively slowly, what we expected from his pre-race, doing speed 2 minutes. Now 1.5 seconds to grip for Frankie Morbidelli. He's not coming under any pressure from Zarco behind him, but Aldeguer now is very low, speed 7.
Quartararo aside is doing another stellar job in 4th place. Yamaha are having a very miserable Malaysian Grand Prix. Alex Rins just been picked off by both Bastianini and Val Fernandez. He's got back to the mid spot. Jack Miller and Miguel Oliveira are having a bit of an issue on the Prix of Pramac Yamaha, but they're 17th and 18th respectively. Oliveira just a couple of seconds further up the road from Jack Castro. Alex Marquez doesn't make that early question from Bagnaia, third, fourth. Look at the front of this Grand Prix, following slick surface here in Sepang. It's been faultless so far by the 7300. As if we haven't secured second in the World Championship, whether Alex Marquez will be fully unleashed once again in 2025. I think we have got our answer.
Pecco Bagnaia was checking his watch at the moment, saying, where is that phase KTM tyre drop? Give me a bit of breathing space and a bit of time off from defending and looking at where Pedro Acosta is, potentially waiting for that number 37 to come up beside him into one of the heavy braking zones. At the moment, Acosta showing no sign of being taken off, but we're not even at half it yet. The second half of the race is where Team Ed will begin to get a little bit nervous about their tyre life.
It's a brutal battle here, further down the field. Just getting a blast from the engine from the new high exhaust in your face. Every time you get a ride, there's a regulator bringing Maria a little bit wide. That's going to allow the Gian Antonio to pound his fellow Italian. But Gian Antonio then now up in ninth place. Quite catching the rest of this battle. Raging from Zarco in 8th downwards. This is going to be a real long 10 laps or so for this sprint back group.
Well, the pace of Alex Marquez has now dropped back into the 2 minutes. He did the fastest lap of the race on lap 2 of 1:58.873. He's now used 2 minutes 2:40, so we're already a second and a half slower than we were at the very beginning of the Grand Prix, and we are still short of half minutes.
Let's check on the rear side that has been closed in on the factory Honda of Marini. Marina back down into 10th place. Just out of picture there was back in doing high 0-0 himself. If Marine stood on that lap, that's a little bit running wide and 36 to that distance through. Back into 1. As far as HRC is concerned. Teammate, a long way off the road, still in 5th place, still unable to make any kind of decision on Quattararo is defending superbly for that top 4.
Make a decision about whether you just back away from the rider in front momentarily to allow your tyre pressure and temperature to go down. Of course, these teams will have been well aware of the challenge that faces them from that point of view and will have set their pressures accordingly. Certainly from Prix will have been keeping close eye on him, with firming Albuquerque to make sure that his pressure was in the window. That in any way is a serious factor as to why Albuquerque is so slow in his Grand Prix.
Prix, which always struggled in these tropical climates 2 or 3 years ago, saying that when he's in a group like this in these conditions, that he was so bad, he was looking breathing and his life was getting burned, such was the extra heat that he was being put on his body. I mean, those guys in that battle for 8 spots, you might as well just turn a hairdryer on full blast to pick their faces. That's just how the conditions are. Alex, 86% stay clear. Bagnaia, magic rider in that top 3 on the last lap was a Costa. Doing firmly spent second, comes a long way back and got the inside line on Minute. Got the inside line. I'm not sure it's the right line to attack Binder going through turn 1. Binder was always going to top it out there, was the aggressive little South African, and he stands firm and holds on to 11.
He had the line, but Binder ripped it away from him in the end. This time he's running in the move zone once again sideways. So he's standing up Tomorrow had his own moment, and that might have just given me the crucial lead on 2CD. The 2020 World Champion is now up into 4th place.
What an onboard shot that was, and we just saw Quattararo's boot come into view. It's planned to be a set of the move on the climb up into third floor. This has been coming. Quattararo always has been. He's going to suffer with a lack of rear grip, fading rear grip on that factory Yamaha. Only the 2 in the Grand Prix now halfway through, where the M1 is just starting to run out of rear tyre. Mears then gets through. The gap between Quattararo and Morbidelli is only 8 tenths of a second.
Another fastest rider on circuit. All of a sudden, Albuquerque just did a 2:00.255 on the last lap. He's quicker even than his teammate. Problem is, though, he's 6.5 seconds adrift.
He's running through there, Sandy Hernandez, his clipboard, and gripping that pen so tightly, he's almost breaking it in half. He's just almost like training those calm lads. Such a great opportunity to fight for the podium in blue in the sprint yesterday. He's on course to 4th place here, having started the overseas tour with a brilliant podium, his first podium on Honda in Mategi. They will not want to throw away another big haul of points potentially here in the main Grand Prix. Look how quickly Mears been able to gap Quattararo behind him. Massive gap already opening up between those two. Bagnaia once again, well, this has been the story of this Grand Prix. +0 Acosta on his pit bull as they cross over the line. 0.9 the gap between Alex and Pecco.
So Quattararo going from the speed back with Mears, but the 2:01.3 last time round, so his faces dropped off. We'll see on this next lap when he's been able to respond to that and try and fence off Frankie Morbidelli. Albuquerque once again on that last lap at 2:00.3. Again, one of the fastest riders on the circuit, and Fabio Gian Antonio takes 8 points away from Johan Zarco.
can't stick the praise enough once again of Acosta. He is just phenomenal. What a talent. What a talent he is on that factory KTM. He is not giving Bagnaia a moment's peace here, is he, in this Grand Prix? We knew he wouldn't do, of course, but he's still keeping himself in this fight for second place. He's still in this fight for maybe the victory, because we know that there's going to be tyre drop-off significantly in the last stage of this Grand Prix. It's Formula Day now starts to hone in on Quartararo.
Yeah, this is a bit of a familiar feeling for the number 20 down the order. He certainly did put up a good fight early on against Prix, but now when you watch that battle, Frankie Morbidelli is gobbling up the distance between the 21 and the 20.
Once again, Acosta closes up on Bagnaia going into his own first time in his Grand Prix. Just the Alex slowing speed of over a second. It's been around 8-9 seconds. So much of this race is you made the only move on Bagnaia at turn 4, but it is over 4 seconds. But yeah, of course, the most your rider of the race back at home. Bagnaia has fallen back in the third section. Now we get the gap back down to 9/10 of a second. Yellow flags are out in sector 3.
And waiting on Friday, Miguel Oliveira, who hasn't come through the third sector, so Oliveira has gone down. He was running just outside the point in 18th place with a battle with his teammate, actually. Jack Miller, 17 and 18. Oliveira, next up ahead, his final home Grand Prix in Portimao.
Right on the rear side, very quickly. On the back of the Yamaha, they got back in the station. On the graphic, that has changed. Already has picked up Quartararo and moved up into this place. Quartararo doing a 202, not careful. Of course, he might have been picked off line by Morbidelli, who made the move through the strip with a 1.898 alarm bells to start ringing inside that safety Yamaha garage. So that's what it looks like at the moment. Quartararo's rear tyre drops on a slip.
So we're at turn 9 by the looks of it. Difficult to tell from that shot. There's another yellow flag coming out in the first sector. So look down in the first couple of corners. The first rider to drop with the rear tyre drop. Fabio Quartararo, Raul Fernandez, the Australian Grand Prix winner, has also gone down part-way through this lap. There will be no back-to-back victory for the Trackhouse rider.
Matt just summed up, doesn't it? The ultimate line, highs and lows, being a Grand Prix motorcycle racer. 7 days after the biggest time in Grand Prix career, becoming our 7th different winner in 2025, finally breaking his winning duck in MotoGP. 7 days later, he's crashing out while at the back end of the points were in place. It must be a brutal Spain Grand Prix for Aprilia. Still there, best runner, best second, world place. He's not been able to find a way through on the
Going up, 1.25 seconds down for Alex Marquez. So, take a Bagnaia if he wants Bainbridge, or you might have to start using up a bit of the rubber you've got left. You've got a chance to take after Alex Marquez. Just cannot shake up Acosta, can he? He's finished the drive. Bagnaia's going slowly, but he's losing his grip on a potential double victory now.
Nicolas Lopez picked up by Bacci. He's got an Italian, so Bacci then pushed back down to 13th place. When it was the Mandalay and his 25 and clearly had the pace to cover off both Grand Prix in most occasions. Well, but he has not been at the races. That's probably not had the races at all here this weekend in Malaysia. Been a wake-up call for the Jadwal factory. Bagnaia has a look to his right. Over the line we go, 1.4 seconds. That felt like a big lap, didn't it? A massive lap 12 as far as Alex Marquez is concerned, because he was half a second quicker, both Bagnaia and Acosta. Well, this is the reason why we didn't go away. I did say that he may have been picked offline by Morbidelli, and well, he was. He certainly was. That was Exhibit A, Frankie Morbidelli aggression.
Well, he really enjoyed his battle with Frankie Morbidelli into there. He enjoyed that one quite so much. Something happened to Aldo there on that lap 2. Because he was closing right up on the rear tyre of Quartararo, but a mistake from Aldier means that he's going to win another couple of laps before he catches that Yamaha.
Alex Marquez is riding absolutely beautifully. He is riding immaculately at the front of this Grand Prix, and he has well covered off. There's 1.6 seconds he is now clear of Bagnaia. He's got to buy another 2 tenths alone in second 2 on this current lap. Bagnaia is really easily hurting that medium front tyre joint, isn't he? And perhaps Acosta might go to the inside here on a racing T9. That's a move that he's sprained on a few occasions. Fair play. They really are that Acosta was found. So he's so massive in this robbery. He's going to go for the inside line and now through Denver. And Acosta finally has retaliated on Bagnaia. Bagnaia just does not have the grip, does he?
He ran out of pace in 1.3 already lost half a second on this lap to Alex Marquez, so Acosta doesn't have to wait around any longer, has to make the move. Origin Waco for Acosta to chase down Alex Marquez, unless Alex has been using too much tyre up in the first half of the race. The gap between the top two, which is now 73 and 37, 2 seconds now.
Four riders on the medium front tyre with the point scoring places. Everybody else right down at the back. Paco Bagnaia, well, always observation, but over the foot, choosing that medium front tyre because he hasn't got the pace. Alex Marquez wants to gain at 0.5 and he's 2 seconds. He is now clear. Acosta is now picking the back. Look at that already after the point. Eventually Acosta knows what to make himself and Bagnaia. I love watching Acosta. What a rider. What a rider. Glenn in the fourth place. Comfortable fourth place. If he did stay comfortable with Frankie Ball, only 8 seconds of a second behind him.
And catching at the moment. There's a quarter of a second quicker on the last lap of Paul Madelli. He wants that fourth place, where of course he did ultimately finish in the sprint yesterday. Once Fermin Aldeguer picked up his penalty. The Sunday charge for the 54 has not really materialised, has it? He's closing up on Quartararo, but it goes to 6 and 7.
Big man for Aldeguer. One of the reasons why he's not seeing from the inside nine. It's still in front end save, isn't it? He goes through. Fair play for me. That was almost a disaster. 24 hours after being crowned rookie of the year in 2025. Yes, it was. He could be in the Ducati squad. Nadia Padovani, what a job she has done. Figurehead on the Italian stage. Aldeguer, well, he was almost on his backside there, was he? Going to the third nine. Now where he's packing hard on these front tenders. Oh, another one. Oh, yeah, another one. Well, we saw it in Moto3 earlier on in the back end of the Grand Prix. The slippery conditions, the scorching hot temperatures really are late on seeing riders have massive moments. And we saw some saving century in Moto3, and now we're starting to see all the MotoGP riders that are on that tightrope on over it now.
Warming in the Honda, but they're wanting these second time. Here is coming up Bagnaia on this lap already. In a third of a second out of the Ducati. Whether he's going to run out of time, we've already got another 2 laps to go after this one. But at the start of this lap, Mia was 3.1 seconds near enough behind Paco Bagnaia. We're into the final sector now. The gap is already just over 2.5.
Alex Marquez is cruising here. He's cruising. Alex Marquez is in mid 0-0. The cost of Bagnaia back in the 0-1. Mia also to the high 2-0-0. So too is Morbidelli. Morbidelli is the second fastest rider on third down the Alex, the race leader. He's faster than he is now. He's got a second win himself here, hasn't he?
Tony charging on the plan here, no question about it. Half a second to lap, will catch it in time for the second flag of this Grand Prix. So Paco Bagnaia to the Costa. He's not got an easy run to the flag for third place, Paco. The 2020 World Champion closing.
Bagnaia second behind the Costa very quickly. The Ducati is further down the field, locking horns. It's Aldeguer versus Gian Antonio. This is the battle of the 7th and 8th. A battle that we expected Aldeguer to be racing up much higher up the field. He runs wide as he goes through turn 5 there. I think it's fair to say that Aldeguer is suffering with that soft front tyre at the moment. Offline going through 5, we've seen on a couple of front end ones out, going through turn 9. We heard Akiyaya send a jack on the grid, talking about taking a responsible prospect. It's going to be a race of survival. It's certainly turning out to be the case as far as Aldeguer is concerned.
And that group behind this battle, little one, it's Gian Antonio, who's right up behind Aldeguer as well now on board. Then it's Zarco, Marini, Bastianini, Victor, Fettetti, Ventura. They're all together, all the way back to 14th place, but they're second. Another rider probably regretting his choice to go front side today.
Of the Grand Prix, sub 201 as well. Alex Marquez, well, this is going to be class ride, hasn't it? First time he's going to, looks like, we went from the commentator's curse, but it looks like it's formality. He is going to win outside of space for the first time in his MotoGP career. There is Quartararo at the moment. It'll be a great job to get a top 6 here in a circuit. Greasy, Pacific conditions, which certainly don't favour the current headline force in the factory M1. Alex is 24 seconds then clear now of the Costa, matching the pace of the race leader. Bagnaia is suffering big time. He lost half a second on that last lap to Alex and the Costa. course, and that gap between Bagnaia and Mir very, very quickly. That's going to drop down to 2 seconds.
In the first third of a second to Mir, last time around. Mir and Ricky Morbidelli along with him for the party too, so Ricky Morbidelli might get involved in that origin battle. Going to a more drop-off from Bagnaia. He's going to try and manage as best he can in the final 5 laps. That can feel horrible to ride. There's really teams to ebb away from those tyres, but everyone's in the same boat, Echo.
Alex Marquez put behind on the cake yesterday in the sprint, secured second in the World Championship. Well, today's Grand Prix victory will just be the cherry on the top weight as Bagnaia is just running out of pace here. Really is struggling. Was that early from pole position. He's got some serious trouble building behind him here because this is not a given that he's going to hang on to this podium. 4.5 laps remaining. You can just see there in the background going through turn 9 with both Mir and Morbidelli. Once again, 3 seconds for Sepang Malaysia. Morbidelli's going to run out of time, maybe try and get on par with Mir and not one of these 40 Honda rider.
Top 10 now, it's just passing to Marini, which means Bagnaia is now the only rider in the top 10 in the race on the medium front tyre. Everyone else with the top front is enjoying their action much more than the two-time world champions at the moment. Bagnaia has been able to stabilise the situation somewhat on this current 16th lap of 20. The gap hasn't come down, and to this point it's still hovering just under 2 seconds. So Bagnaia is just about managing to get this 5 years from sort of get on top of the problem.
The medium front are his issues. He has been able to get the top for his tyre working well. We'll find out after the Grand Prix. Marini goes on the inside of Marco, 4 minutes, 23. Don't go side by side on the exit of turn 50. What a battle this has been. It is now in the hands of Mancini. The other line, this is Paco. Mancini is 9th, where he's been in the sprint yesterday. He goes sideways, wants to watch on the front end of the KTM into turn 1. Behind him now is Marco, Marini, Victor, and Becker. Segura also in this battle, so just on a 1.2 seconds, coming 9th, down to 14th.
Some points up for grabs, and Bezzecchi kind of needs every point that he can get. Even if Bagnaia is struggling at the moment up in third place, and fading away from the top 2, still pulling out the crucial points from Bezzecchi, the third in the World Championship. Not further back, Bagnaia at the moment is pulling out 30 points over Bezzecchi for third in the World Championship.
Bagnaia should have this one killer. Sort of criticise Bagnaia to go, well, why did he go for that medium front tyre? Well, with the hottest conditions of the weekend, that was the only way that he felt that maybe he should have the support in braking late on in the Grand Prix. He would have his reasons, and we'll understand his reasons for why he didn't work out post Grand Prix very, very shortly. Next second, going to find a move once again through on Victor. Those two have had some close calls already in this battle further down the field.
Really close up under braking by Binder, and just how much that soft rear tyre is wearing away from Binder, and he'll be in the same boat as everyone else in this race. Every rider is on the soft rear tyre. Bagnaia demanding a Mir, 1.7 seconds between third sector, so he's not leading enough at the moment for Mir to catch him in time for the checkered flag.
Alvarez started a little bit of time back on Quattararo in their battle for 6th place. That's come down to just over 4/10 of a second. Favour of Quattararo at the moment. On board then with Bezzecchi up into 6th gear in excess of 300 kilometres an hour before he drops anchor. Something's gone down in the final section. He's down the road to the final corner.
Alvarez.
Oh, it's Alvarez. Well, I have to say is we have been coming. He's had some big scares, hasn't he, on the front edge of that Ducati. It looked like, I guess it was just to the point where that gap was just setting easy time back on Quattararo in the race for 6th. Unfortunately, too much time back. Trailblazing into turn 15. We've seen that crash happen so many times down the years. Just with the front drift baby. Alvarez crashes out. Oh, Bagnaia's got it really hard. He's got a problem. What's going on here with Bagnaia? Yeah, there's something happening with Bagnaia. He looks down to his left-hand side. So Pecco Bagnaia's Malaysian Grand Prix is over. Well, it wasn't going to be a dominant 3 double here in Malaysia anyway. 40 number 63. But when he was looking like in a safe and secure third place, Pecco Bagnaia, with 3 laps remaining here in Sepang, is down and out.
Mir up into third place then, Morbidelli to fourth. Quattararo having a good look down at the left-hand side of the fight. Let's ride on board and have a listen.
Bagnaia. Look at the bearing, wing arm.
No sign of lamination on that tyre either for Bagnaia, but he's concerned by something at the rear of his bike. And Bagnaia with his centre of the head, all of a sudden talks about his gaining points on Marco Bezzecchi. As it is now, Bezzecchi will regain third once again in the World Championship.
So only a few moments ago, was it actually the medium front? There was, probably was actually, for the softer rear. And it was causing him such a headache in this Grand Prix. Well, we're going to find out because that has turned into a disaster, has it, for Pecco Bagnaia. Back on home, and he's going to have to cruise back to the pit lane. Of course, out of all that main drama, this has put Clear onto the podium place. He's 1.4 seconds clear at Morbidelli. So an overseas tour which started with a podium in Japan for Jumat. It looks like it will finish with a podium here in Sepang for Prix. Some bounce back as well after his disappointment in the sprint yesterday.
This is now battle for 8th place between Marini, Zarco, Victor, Bezzecchi and Ascura. And Marini still leading and momentarily Bezzecchi goes off into the top 10, but he's been repassed by Brad Victor towards the game. They're all back in the 2:03 now. That's how much they're all struggling with their tyres. They'll be hoping these two laps quick off quickly.
Yeah, some of them involved in dealing with some real issues with the front tyre. I mean, Vincent now goes on the inside of Zarco into third for sideways Grand Prix. But when you've been in such a big battle as well that you're not having to be really cautious on that front end. We saw Allier get caught out.
Zarco's struggling big time. Look at the gap above them already ahead of him. Binder going through. Binder's disappeared off top of the road. Bezzecchi's now going to come through. Bagnaia into the pit. He's out of this Grand Prix. And Zarco's gone from the front of this queue all the way to the back in half a lap.
Late drama and late heartache then for Pecco Bagnaia, who was on course for a double podium here in Sepang. He immediately comes into the factory Ducati garage. Immediately up goes the shutters. They're not going to give any indication as to what has caused the retirement of public relations Bagnaia's Grand Prix. Oh, that is frustrating. That is really frustrating as far as Bagnaia is concerned. Juan Mir then up into P3. Looks like he's got Morbidelli well and truly covered up. He's still that 1.4 seconds ahead of the Italian in third place. Morbidelli's got no trouble behind him. Pasquale almost 2 seconds down the road.
Pasquale taking Gian Antonio for second in the quarter. Clear. Alex Marquez has now started his final lap of this Grand Prix. Imagine the weekend game when better for Alex Marquez. That was the runner-up in the World Championship yesterday, but it is about to get that little bit better.
Yeah, it really is. Felt like when he said himself with the pressure of having tried to secure second in the World Championship. That was job done completely here yesterday. And Alex, minus any kind of pressure, free to just attack and run it in the Malaysian Grand Prix. And Ascura goes on the inside of Bezzecchi here. A real strong race rally by Ascura. He's now up into the top 10.
And now the top of Prix in this race. Victor, of course, leading up with Zarco in the middle of an advantage on the road, so he shouldn't be caught. Alex Marquez can't be caught for second in the World Championship. That's the damage that's picked up to Bagnaia's third place in the championship. Bezzecchi will win in 11th place. Does go back ahead of his fellow Italian. But Alex Marquez taking victories on planning for him already this season. The memorable first in Jerez, followed by a home win in Barcelona. After a sprint win here 2 years ago, he's about to fly out in Malaysia.
Pedro Acosta has ridden absolutely perfectly once again. He's going to muscle and wrestle that KTM to get another podium here. And Juan Mir in a saving third place. Giannini is going to rescue 7, another top 10 from way down the grid, a 19th spot. But Alex then now drops down the hill. He returns 12 and 13. This has been a fully performance as done by Alex. No danger of him being caught late on here. 3 seconds clear of Acosta. Hernandez, Juan Mir takes off. Runs on me, isn't he? Keep hold of this third place. Surely they go road. Oh, that's going to get catch the second. But out of the final corner goes Alex Marquez. And Alex Marquez has sprinkled some magic on the Malaysian Grand Prix in 2025, wins for the third time in a season which has seen him secure second place in the championship. Behind for the mark, Pedro Acosta does take a stunning second. And another giant getting out by Acosta with KTM to take second spot. Juan Mir on the factory Honda does hold off Morbidelli. taken another podium for Honda. That's 2 Mir and Honda podiums in 4 Grand Prix in Malaysia and in Japan. Morbidelli in 4th, Quartararo inside the top 5, Gian Antonio Manzak in top 6, Battistini from 19th to 7th, Marini, Peter Aguri in top 10, Bettesecchi was only a 7th from 14th, points to Zarco, Reeves, Miller and Chandra.
Bagnaia, the 8th quest begins down in the factory chassis cam as the celebrations begin at Grassini.
That could be a real tight punch that's come the way of Bagnaia. There was no obvious sign. That's from the end of the Grand Prix. He's going to be losing grip anyway, but he's going to carry on. I think that fight became unrideable because he had some kind of puncher issue at the end there. We'll find out. He picked up some debris at some point in the Grand Prix. But what is not up for debate is that Bagnaia was out when the checkered flag was thrown. Alex Marquez was in a race of his own here in Sepang, 2.6 seconds clear of Acosta. An all-Spanish podium lockout at Ducati, leading over KTM, leading over Honda, and more success in what has already been a rip-short successful season as far as BK8 racing are concerned. Second world championship for Alex, probably did he pick up some debris at some point in the Grand Prix? Well, what is not up for debate is that Bagnaia was out when the checkered flag was thrown. Alex Marquez was in a race of his own here in Sepang, 1.6 seconds clear of Acosta. An all-Spanish podium lockout at Ducati, leading over KTM, leading over Honda, and more success in what has already been a resorting successful season as far as BK8 racing are concerned. Second world championship for Alex, top independent team rider, they're now the best independent team. Allier was the rookie of the year yesterday, although his Sunday went a bit pear-shaped, having clashed out of top contention. Alex Marquez. Well, super, absolutely brilliant. Despite all the pre-race concern about a second on the grid, there's no great for Alex Marquez. And this is the way from
Okay, what a brilliant ride from Alex. It's not been an easy weekend. 2 crashes on Friday. He's had to overcome a lot, but second in the World Championship and now racing today on that.
Thank you very much, Martin. First of all, I want to pay some respect for the Moto3 guys at the moment. So we need to celebrate in the proper respectful way and to say that an amazing race. You know the potential of Montreal, and today was the day taking the big point, and we have seen defended very well the race. Great job, well done very much.
Thanks very much, Jack. Thanks to Mackenzie for seeing you. Thankfully, Alex Marquez didn't crack us off with Mackenzie Boyd down there in Park Burmay. What a year to have been for great. What a performance, what a ride was the game by Pedro Acosta. Sure, that's what the giant getting out as far as he's concerned. In that case, there's no other ride we can do at the moment. Behind Acosta. Fabio Quartararo, I think he's going to be, when all said and done after what I find, has been quite a tricky weekend here in Sepang with the factory Yamahas as he's come home in 5th place. Shows all of his fighting qualities, shows all of his fighting spirit. Or in Acosta being the more competitive motorcycle than he because best motor contenders from competitive motorcycles, Acosta and Quartararo, no question, Untitled Chapter. Yeah, the Formula managers there at turn 15. Just behind us, 24.5 hours.
Really enjoying playing the Grand Prix. He worked hard for that. There is no question that Fabio Quartararo is an elite MotoGP rider. Commitment and what go. Big place for him today. 4 points now, he's behind Fermin Aldeguer from 4th in the World Championship after Aldeguer crashed down.
Race between Mania Padovani, the big boss, and giving the ice bet to Alex Marquez after what would have felt like 20 very long laps. All the there just giving a very risky after the back. That's for Pedro Acosta. Yesterday on the soft rear tyre, he was actually worried about the fact that he was in real trouble. But taking a green back ahead of Bagnaia in the battle for third place, and Pedro Acosta that's still a big third in the championship, but one of them is like 31 points, 350 in third place. Juan Mir and started to finish our flyway tour with a podium. Let's see thoughts with that.
Well, Joanne, you let all of the frustration of yesterday fuel you on. 2 podiums during our 80 leg. True to say that both yourself and Honda are back in the big time. When you push and you give the 100% always, and you know it's never give up, you know, many times you make some interviews and someday I didn't know what to say, you know. And that moment makes this one super special. So I'm so happy, thank you to the team, because I never give up, but they never give up too. So thank you for them, and yes, we are a lot closer to the main goal, that is 2 points. I didn't tell before, but like this now it's fantastic. Great ride, well done, thank you.
Yeah, well, top performance once again by Juan Mir, who has never stopped believing in himself. He's never stopped believing in Honda as well, and most importantly, and that's hard work has really started to bear some fruit. And now, as far as the RC1 rider is concerned, a podium in Japan, and all the disappointment of crashing out in podium contention to sprint yesterday. That's how you make amends. That shows what a quality rider Juan Mir is. Third that he was at the checker flag. Looking forward to hearing the thoughts of Pedro Acosta. That was just once again pure class. Nothing shy of pure class for the KTM star. Let's get a thought of Acosta to Jack.
After all the KTM tyre woes after recent weeks, how on earth did you get that stop to the end of the race? You would not let Pecco go and eventually got the better of it. Well, I had to wait my moment, you know, at the end. And it was super bad for me, it was super aggressive. And today I was super pissed off at Warm Up because we had something in the bike and was no power out this last 2 corners, and I was losing a lot, and I said, guys, if I fuck up, minimum that has to be myself, you know, for this. Remove all the controls and we go racing, you know, so it was super cool. Yeah, thanks all my crew, because they made super great job, everyone that is watching home. Miguel Aneva from Moto2 Motorsport, Alex, my coach, Matt Ruira, my new physical trainer, and all that is supporting me from home, even my dad, that he was calling me, but we don't have signal. And also I want to send a last message, thanks for Danny and Paul to be here. I mean, Paul and Danny trying to give us the ball of speed that they have more than us. And also I want to send a message and a big hug for Ado Silva, Marcelo, and also Randy that is over there, because we know how hard some people take the sport, even if we love it, because it's very, can you easy and knowledge of the world. Top job, well done, everybody.
Phenomenal ride that by Pedro Acosta. Just a very quick apology, because we have to, for his some of his language in that interview there with Douglas, with a move that he made, brilliant move on a Bagnaia. Affected Bagnaia big time, and indeed the puncher. That's obviously why he was worried. I wonder at what point of the race was it when he realised that he was having some major issues, maybe in the build-up. Felt a bit of a strange feeling 2 or 3 laps before he pulled to the side of the track going through turn 3. Pedro Acosta had to work very, very hard for that second place. It is 9th podium. I think it's about 9 minutes now, being top 5. Okay, so we've got to start them up, so we're going to try and keep Monday 2026 and beyond. But Alex Marquez, what a weekend it's been for Alex. Second in the World Championship, secured, and his third win of the season in some style here in Sepang Malaysia.
Alex is second in the World Championship and now the Malaysian Grand Prix winner, and you had to better weekend today.
Well, yeah, better, yes. I was feeling was not an easy weekend for us. We started suffering a lot, suffering two crashes on Friday, and later on, the feeling was not really perfect, but today the strategy was clever. It was that strategy was the winner one, so it was really clever the point to move and to be aggressive on that moment of the race, because it showed that was, I didn't know it was the key. I lose one race just 2 years ago, not to wrestle the behind I just went too much, so I decided to go for it, and yeah, really happy. It's a really important win for us to celebrate the second, but my friends, my soldiers, with the MotoGP guys, and still there's so much, have some intensity, so just close to the game to them. Well said, thank you.
Alex Marquez has been chosen by fans at home, the rider of the race. The class rider, Alex, the class gentleman as well as his talk in relation to Jack and the sentiments that are echoed by the entire motorsport community, and we send our best to Jose Antonio Rueda and Noah Jadwal, Prix Moto3. Out of the final corner though goes Alex Marquez, victorious in MotoGP for the third time in his career. On the sprint a couple of years ago, and he has got a Malaysian Grand Prix victory now on the CV as well. But the next day, I think it's bad to say the least, because the chassis short-term navigator was going to be one of the main challenges in that Grand Prix as well. Unfortunately, he crashed out of top 6 contention late on at turn 16. This transfer race filter really with the great respectively or unfeatured Pecco Bagnaia, but what looked like maybe a puncher issue, a slight puncher was it, denied Bagnaia a third place, denied him a second place, wasn't in contact with a lot of issues in the build-up to his eventual retirement. What it has done, once again, it's cost Bagnaia third overall standing. It's got a cost of 31 points behind Marco Bezzecchi in third place. I mean, the big ask is that it's a tough challenge to overhaul Bez to third in Portimao and Valencia. The Costa up to fifth. 5 points is the gap between Bez and Bagnaia. Another look at Pecco Bagnaia, recognising the problem in turn 3. Have a very good look at that rear tyre, trying to see any signs of a puncture. As mentioned, it was clearly serious enough for Pecco Bagnaia, but he couldn't carry any kind of lean angle or speed into the corners. That slowed the right down, and he took look over at the rear tyre. On the way out of turn 3, or turn 1 was already going straight on. The fact that he was looking to his left and to his right meant that obviously he was not completely aware of what the issue was himself, or whether it was on the left or with the right hand side. Well, they'll be certainly doing the post-mortem investigation. Looks like a puncher. Looks like a puncher. Looks a little flat. Flat now. That's Pecco Bagnaia's Malaysian Grand Prix move to whatever the cause. End result, no points. That's for Pecco Bagnaia. We'll pause and listen to our top 3.
Estaba como venido de Japón, que se veía todo bien. Usted debe interpretar, ¿no? Al policía que no sabía de la fe. Es que luego había un momento que esto se ha colado en la 1. Bueno, era en la 4. Y luego se ha vuelto a poner y dice, a ver si me está dejando pasar por lo de las presiones o algo.
No, está parado, no sé.
Yo creo que esto es muy bueno.
Sí. Creo que
queda pegado, Pero Lucas, también se ha caído Lucas. ¿No era bien? Yo así como más o menos por la carrera, porque yo veía las dos de la pista. Caminaba a los caballos. Iba así, un poquito rápido, y ya luego cuando han ido viendo los caballos. ¿Cómo caían los tiempos? Flipa, que no me pillaban, digo, bueno, a ver, tú estabas un poco, vosotros, fíjate. Vale. Le he adelantado, ya cuando me queda un poco detrás, 9, 8, casi se ha quedado. O sea que hoy me tengo que levantar a acuerdo de todo. Pero se lo ha parado a él, la grada de España en la recta por ya. Va como muy lento, de la ojo la regla, ya. Vale, atrás. No, está acá. Ahí, izquierda está bien. Sí, a ver, centro, ¿no? Autobús, perdón. Sí, va, ya. Está bien el cantero, que no, el autobús aplicaba el tío, la luego aplicaba, así, Podía jugar. Podía no, cabrón. Ya se oía ahí. Bueno, ya, pero para escucharlo por la hora no es monta. Podía nosotros ahí celebrarlo como victoria, pero tú lo has ganado también. Bueno, hay que celebrarlo y entonces cuando se acaba lo bueno. Sí, hombre. Y de golpe se acaba. Sí, hombre. Luego, ahora no por nadie.
So the top three have started their process of the 2025 Malaysian Grand Prix. Marciano, Tengu now lead development of the RC213B. Mark another podium for Juan Mir. And they've been the top three, haven't they? As far as Hondas go. Alex Marquez, Pedro Acosta and Juan Mir. That comes podium. All Spanish lockout. Of the top three. The celebration is the relatively the event of the day. Reiterate as we said throughout the day, you've been with us through this afternoon's forecast. Thank you for your company. Any information that we received on today. Antonio Ryder and Noah Devila. As soon as we do receive any official update, we will bring it to you. In terms of the MotoGP action today, celebrations will begin for Alex Marquez, Pedro Acosta and Juan Mir. To watch someone else do the winning last time out, Carlos will accept the winning prize. Well, been on the podium yesterday, let's be fair. National crash at turn 9. Another class ride from Acosta. Second place in MotoGP now. The rider who's second place in the World Championship will take the top prize today. Alex Marquez claims his third victory of 2025. With Marquez sure watching back over the stage. I was proud yesterday. We absolutely thrilled at the success of his brother this afternoon. Congratulations to Cristini then. And to Gianni Cristini, the top independent team in 2025. That has been confirmed today. Then for Juan Mir. Podium number 15. Second of the season, second in 4 Grand Prix. Positive signs and tangible progress continues. We're quite grateful to see the checkered flag in truth. He was only half a second ahead of Frankie Moore with early in the finish, and lost a second to him on the final lap. Second place goes to Pedro Acosta. Of the season. He muscled that KTM around today. Alex Marquez. The World Championship. Second in the sprint yesterday. But after winning that early arm wrestle with Pecco Bagnaia,
Never came under any serious threat. Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia does the honours. Alex Marquez completes a 3-week head-to-head with Malaysian Grand Prix leader.
At the end of the Grand Prix of Malaysia in 2025, just as we saw in the earlier Moto3 race. That's some pretty spectacular post-race celebrations by the top three. Alex Marquez, what a performance, what a season it has been. For Alex, the 29-year-old, on so many occasions. Stepped out of Jadwal for the mark in a 2025 campaign where he has quite rightly secured that second place in the World Championship. More podium success for KTM and Pedro Acosta and Juan Mir, confirming once again that this Honda rival is well and truly up and running in this. While after 8-year-old Gianna wins at the end of the season, we head back to the Iberian Peninsula. The penultimate round of 2025, the Qatar Airways Grand Prix of Portugal from the roller coaster, the Algarve International Circuit at the stunning Portimao.
Alex Marquez wins the Malaysian Grand Prix from Pedro Acosta and Juan Mir. Frank Morbidelli fourth. Fine right from Fabio Quartararo to hang on to fifth ahead of Fabio Gian Antonio, and an airbag Gini all the way through from 19th to 7th, 3, 8. Another ride who goes for the medium front tyre, not necessarily. Proper pretty at home at 10th, Marco Isecchi only 11th, but those 5 points pretty very simple. So here's Joe Zarco, it's Penny Thomas for pulling lanes on 12th, Alex Prince 13th, and Jack Miller and Tommy Chandra taking the final point. Paco Bagnaia and Bobby Alvarez, 2 of the 3 race favourites failing to score. So the top 6 positions are locked in the World Championship. Marco Bezzecchi regains 3rd place today over Paco Bagnaia, despite finishing down in 11th place. Changing positions soon involving the VR4060 Cash Riders and Frank Morbidelli from late Fabio Gian Antonio for 13 points. Of course, champions Grassini safe in 2nd place, with the R46 are 60 points clear of KTM the first. Independent rider standing, Alex Marquez of course is your top independent rider on the season, and the main standing, Frankie Morbidelli, he now takes 2nd place over Fabio Gian Antonio. third today and your top independent team on 2025. I was enjoying watching them, having started from pole position very early on. Tended to come to getting ahead of Alex Marquez. Obviously to be following the Bagnaia master plan from pole position. Lightning start for the 37 to take second place early on. Quattraro and Almaguer went side by side. Prix clear in those early stages. Quattraro without the pace to go after the top three into it. Alex Marquez recognising the urgency to pass Acosta quickly to take second. Turn forward where he would also take the lead from Pecco Bagnaia, who wouldn't see the 73 again. Acosta went on the attack, trying to secure second place. As the 37 and the 63 traded places early on. Plan here was launching a challenge as two former MotoGP World Champions went head-to-head for fourth. Bagnaia's grip on second place was finally used by Acosta just after half distance as Bagnaia started to run into major tyre trouble. Then, onwards, Montenegro to Bagnaia's Grand Prix. Running on turn 4, clearly issues at the rear of the bike which certainly affected the puncture. And of course we'll no doubt confirm later on, but it is no doubt whatsoever that Alex Marquez was your undisputed winner in Malaysia today. Having secured the runner-up spot yesterday and the Rookie of the Year prize, Christina now the top independent team in MotoGP. Alex Marquez's victory secured that today. Alex Marquez then at the 13th Country Moto2 Championship in 2019 with the Malaysian Grand Prix.